Okay, here we go. What's up, y'all? Welcome to L.U.S.T. Let Us Speak Truth. I am your host, Nick. We got the panel on here, and today's topic is going to be about depression and mental illness. So, we all know that there is a difference between the two. Depression is a disorder, and if it's not remedied, it can turn into an illness, correct? We all agree?
Are we going to call it mental illness, or are we going to call it mental health?
Either or.
Okay.
Either or. So what are some signs of depression? I'll ask the panel.
Some signs of depression is feeling hopelessness, isolation, feeling that the world is crumbling and there's no way out.
Got it. What about you?
I would say withdrawn, excessively emotional. One way or the other. You can be like completely like nonchalant, or you can be like very dramatic. So it goes both ways.
Right.
A lot of crying, seclusion, and then just like not trusting people, like thinking that everybody's out for you in some sort. So paranoia.
Yeah. Okay. Men?
I would say the biggest sign is no sign, because you always hear about people that you were just talking to them and they seem like everything was okay, but they just kind of holding that all inside and they're not speaking on it. And, us as men, we just do the tough thing. Like, we ain't gonna talk about it. We feel like we good or whatever. But in the inside, you really messed up. You know what I mean? You hear about people like Robin Williams, one of those funniest people in the world, commit suicide. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just, people hide it. People hide the fact that they're really going through it because they're embarrassed of really speaking on, I guess people feel like it's a sign of weakness to be able to be going through some things like that, going through a depression or even going through mental health. Because, the depression thing is one thing, but the mental health thing, sometimes you can't control that. A lot of people can't control why they just feel like they're just not worthy.
But if let's say it's a true homie that's around you, could you pick up if he was depressed or not?
You can't. Depression, yes. Mentally, just in a state of always feeling like they don't want to be here. They feel like they want to, commit suicide. They're just not worthy of being. You never know, because they hide that very, very well. You know what I mean? You hear about it all the time. The people that say, I just talked to them. They seem like they was okay. They was laughing and joking, that other thing. Next, they just jumped off a bridge or blew their brains out. You know what I mean? So why is that? Why is that? People can hide that and make you feel like everything is okay, and you just never know. I've heard it a million times. They always say they'd never seen that. They never knew what was going on. They never had any kind of inkling that this person was going through anything. And, they ended their life.
Yeah. What about you, Trav?
Everything y'all said is valid. 100%. But I put a small little knot on the side of that, only because if it's legit and you have some issues, I understand it. If you're depressed about a situation, I can get it. My personal opinion is that being honest with you, some of it, I hate to say it, but I'm gonna say it. Part of it is, there's some people out there with some real issues that need help. And there's some really depressed people out there that need help as well.
Right.
There's some weak people out there that's just weak, period.
So
I'm sorry to say it, and that's just the truth.
Do you think some people play victim?
Yes.
How come,
that's what I mean. Without a doubt.
Okay.
It's a lot of people that ain't depressed, that ain't got no issue. They just weak and they play victim. And for those, you playing.
So they want.
I think the ones that are weak and they're playing the victim, those aren't the ones that initially take their lives. I think the ones that take their lives, those are the ones that really, really have some type of issues. You know what I mean? And sometimes you can kind of get that, because the ones that are just maybe seeking that attention.
I was gonna say, I think
it's more. Yeah, they'll let you know more than the ones that are really going through. The ones that are really going through, they're not going to say anything, and you'll never know. And
Which,
you hear it all the time about people that are going through these things, or people that take a bottle of pills or blow their brains out or jump over a bridge or whatever the case may be. And everybody around, even their family, say they never seen a sign, they never even knew.
But Tony, I ain't talking about him. I
No,
ain't,
we're speaking of all these
there's
situations.
various types of
Yeah,
depression. That's
yeah,
the
we're speaking
and
of
I get
all
it.
these. Yeah,
And I
yeah,
get it.
yeah.
Again, for those who need help, get help. For those that are whatever, but you got people, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, man. Ain't nothing going on with you. You.
So the people that you're saying are weak people, I think they are attention-seeking people. And people who seek that kind of attention are typically people who they are looking for something like some sort of validation, or they don't know how to ask for what they need, and they're not honest about what they're trying to get either. So I always find those people to be emotional manipulators based on knowing what they're doing, making sure they hoping to get the attention that they're seeking, but also it's something else in there that they want, and that's what they're trying to manipulate somebody into giving them. So
And typically those are the people that take their lives.
Well, let me
I agree with you, Tony. They typically don't. I agree.
let me clarify something as well, because when we talk about depression, we have to know that depression does not equal mental illness unless it's a persistent. You see what I'm saying? So if persistent isolation, you're not enjoying the things that you used to enjoy before, and you stay stuck, that's where it turns into a mental illness.
But what about the people that always suffer from depression? They've been suffering from depression ever since they were kids. That would be, deemed mental illness, right?
That would be deemed as clinical
depression.
So we have 8 different types of depression, but the baseline is depression has to start somewhere. And where does that start? It starts with persistent, not doing things that staying in a stoop too long. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So there are some signs of depression that, I researched, and the top 6 are weight loss or weight gain, lack of sleep or trouble sleeping, sadness, loss of interest, feeling unworthy, and trouble thinking. And
let me add something on to that.
Go ahead.
Nicole. With Nicole saying that, then it merged into clinical depression, bipolar depression, major depressive disorder. It turns into all that. Those things, that the weight loss depression, as you talked about, it can turn into a clinical depression. So depression is very, 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 very broad. I'm sorry, go ahead, Trav.
Again, I hear you guys speaking about the clinical terms. I can respect that. And for those who, I'm going to say it again, because I know people are going to view this. If you have an issue, I get it. But I'm not very sympathetic to people that the side where people are, I'm going to just say, putting on. I'm sorry.
And you're entitled to feel that way.
Because this is why I feel like that. Them slaves was out there in 110-degree weather in Louisiana, Mississippi, Georgia, and South Carolina, getting raped, getting their teeth pulled out, and they were still singing and chanting. And you in air conditioning, and you in inside your house, and you talking about you depressed for what? Get your ass up and do something.
But
that's not the same thing, Trav.
It's not the same, Trav. We're talking about
it is.
It's not.
There's a lot of weak people out there, y'all.
Well, just because you consider them to be weak, but if you don't know their story, you don't get to judge them. Of all things in the world,
because you got a whooping from your daddy when you was 13.
No. Allow me to finish, Travis. Allow me to finish.
Okay.
Just because you deem them weak doesn't make them that, and you don't get to judge nobody. You don't have a heaven or hell to put them in, first off. But more importantly, it ain't necessarily that you got a whooping from your daddy and that made you this. This person could have been molested as a child. They might still have nightmares from that kind of thing happening. You never know what the hell people are going through. So I don't get to judge people based on my opinion because I don't know your story. I don't get to put you in a box. All I can do is let you be you, support where I can if that's what I choose to do, or ignore you if that's what I choose to do. But I don't get to label you and put you in anything or decide that you're weak because you gave up. Sometimes you take a break, you sit your ass down, and then you come back when you feel like you can see it from a different angle and you can tackle it a different way. But you don't get to decide people are weak if you don't know their story. Some people are attention seeking. I agree with that. And those people, they typically do this kind of thing every so often that you know this is just what they do.
Right.
But when it's a person who you've never seen this side of them before, and they are on the brink of giving up, you don't get to tear them people to pieces. You don't get to do that because you don't know what they fight.
Mm-hmm.
And that's completely unfair.
So what percentage of the people would you say, Trav, that are weak versus the ones that are really actually depressed?
Or have a actual bipolar or something like that.
You mean a diagnosis? That's when you're getting into mental illness.
Mental illness, I would say realistically valid. I would say from what I see, I would say it's about 70-30.
30% is which, and 30% is what?
I would say 30% of people probably have some real issues, and 70% are attention seekers and a part of the, not quote unquote, the Me Too. They saying, yeah, me too. That's going on, me too. And ain't shit wrong with them. They lazy, they don't want to do it.
So do you know anybody personally that actually took their life before from depression?
No,
or
I ain't talking about suicide.
Okay, let me say something. Let me say something to you, okay? Because if you go into clinical depression, most likely, or depression, most likely what you're going to have is suicidal ideation, okay? So the people that you're talking about must be someone that you know. These 70% must be someone you got to know, because if you don't know them, that's not fair for you to say 70-30. You can't say that. You can't make that predicament.
Yeah, you got to get real numbers, dear.
So it has to be somebody in your camp. You mean 70% of your friends?
Okay, so let me say this. Let me say this. Since you say that, if I'm sitting behind a computer and someone insults me on a message and I take my life, I think that's ridiculous.
You're allowed to feel that way.
Turn the goddamn computer off.
You're allowed to feel that way, but the thing about it is, how else does this work? So let me explain.
Turn the computer off.
Allow me to finish. So there was I believe she was 16-year-old girl in Arkansas, beautiful girl, bullied all the time by all of these ugly chicks, if you will, right? And it's one thing to not have a support system. So if your mama if she's feeling bullied and she's feeling ugly or whatever it is that she's feeling, and nobody's ever poured into her to make her feel like she was worth something, she has no value, no self-value, because nobody's ever told her that it was okay to have it. Nobody's ever tried to instill it into her. So she grows up feeling broken. So that happened to her. Okay, and now they put this stuff on the internet, still being messy, still being nasty, and that child ended up committing suicide because nobody ever tried to fill her cup. You don't get to tear her to pieces. I don't get.
Wait a minute, Tootie. You're saying some unattractive girls made a pretty girl kill herself, is what you're telling me?
Basically.
Okay, now, because they were bullying her, bullies take your lunch money. I don't understand that either. Do you think somebody can say something to me and that's bullying to me? I don't give a fuck what you say.
Right, but some people are not strong. That's the thing. Some people don't view things like that, Trav. Like there are people, let's say they get bullied all their life and nobody is there for them.
Bullying is somebody beating your ass or taking something from you, some words.
So let me ask you this, Trav. If your kids were being bullied, would you address the situation?
If it was something real, I go to school and handle it. Something real.
Well, what's the difference between real and not real when it comes to bullying?
Man, Tony, you from my era. Bullies took your lunch money. They ain't say no words to you.
I totally get what you're saying. But I'm just saying now, we are talking about a different era of bullying, right? Like, say if somebody is on.
Do you think a dude could threaten me from a computer?
If a dude says,
Travis.
When I see you tomorrow, I'm finna take your lunch money. I'm finna beat you up. Is that considered?
Shit, come see me tomorrow then.
Okay, hold on. Let Lanita say something. Go ahead, Lanita.
Well, I know I came in late, so I apologize. I was taking care of some stuff, but I think it's perception too, because if you're being bullied the way that you're being bullied and you don't take that as being bullied, but if another person is going through that same thing and they're taking it a different way, they're taking it a different way, so they're being bullied because it bothers them differently. So if somebody comes up to me and is like, I'm about to take your lunch money, I'm about to beat you up, but then I'm about to take it like a champ, like, oh man, I ain't gonna, it is what it is. That's still bullying. She's just processing, or he's processing it differently, versus, oh, I'm getting beat up, I can't handle this, oh my gosh, I'm scared, I'm anxious, I'm depressed because I can't manage this type of behavior or how I'm being treated.
And they're probably not communicating it either, right?
Right.
So
then
holding their feelings.
And they're holding in their feelings. So that is one thing I was saying. And then another thing about being depressed and mental illness is that, just like you said earlier, there's different steps of being depressed and having mental illness. So you have people that have situational anxiety, situational depression, seasonal depression, and things bring different triggers out of people, and based off of what it brings out of them determines how they react to their current environment, whether if it's in a good thing or whether if it's in a positive thing. They could just be going through something, and that while they're going through it, they can be literally depressed. But then once they get through what they're getting through and they start doing that self-care, then they become to come out of it. They get better at it. So that's the only thing I was thinking.
And I'll feed off that. A lot of people ball stuff in, and when you ball stuff in, it tends to weigh you down. You have all this stuff on you, and you start going like this because you don't have that person to talk to. So go ahead, Tanya.
I'm sorry. Let me say something, because this depression is real. Depression is not a joke. I was depressed one time myself personally, and I tell everyone my story and how I began to feel like there was no hope for me. Did I have suicidal ideation? No, I did not. But I felt a sense of loneliness because I was active one time, and then when I had my knee surgery, I was no more active. So I sat in the house, and sitting in the house is watching the walls. I became depressed. I cried a lot. I did a lot of praying. I just, meditation, and still that didn't seem to work for me. Okay? So my mother helped me get through this. Was I to be placed on medication? No, it wasn't that deep.
Right.
It wasn't that deep, but I knew that I had lost myself, and I had children to raise. So, depression is just not about bullying. It's about a multitude of things. It's about people's feelings and how they handle certain situations. It's about seeking help, holding all in.
Right. Go ahead, Trav.
So that's.
Hey, Tanya, let me ask you a question. Do feelings change, right? Our feelings change, correct?
Most definitely.
Okay, cool. Facts don't change. And my point of what I'm saying is, I get what you all are saying, but I think personally it's weak that you're saying someone can internet bully you. That ain't shit, y'all. I'm sorry. I can't be sympathetic.
Okay.
But you have to understand, Travis, you come from a different generation.
No, and I'm telling you about men that are going to be someone's husband. So if you're going to cry over somebody talking to you on the internet, what you going to do when you ain't got the money to pay the mortgage? Shit, you might goddamn go jump in front of a bus. That's dumb.
I'm not telling you wrong. What I'm telling you is you don't raise your daughters the way your parents raised you. That's what I'm saying. This is a whole different generation. We didn't have computers and cell phones and social media and all of that other kind of stuff. See, the kids that you have now, they function in that because they need likes, they need shares, they need attention. We didn't function in that. You know why? Because that stuff wasn't available to us. And so if somebody can get on the internet and tear your image up that you worked so hard to build and tear it up in like 30 seconds, then that's what hurts them. That's what they consider bullying. That's what leads to that type of depression. We not raised the same. We don't come from the same stock, buddy. That's what I want you to understand. So just because you think it's weak, if it's somebody your age and you consider them to be weak, hey, by all means. But these kids don't function the way you function, or I function, or anybody on this panel functions. They function differently because they grew up in social media, internet. Everything they wanted is available at their fingertips. So it's not about you having an opinion on them being weak because somebody internet bullying them. Guess what? That's reality to them. That's what they're growing up in. You don't get to tear them to pieces. Now, the thing that you can do is instill in your kids what you want them to know, what you want them to value, what you want them to get. But you don't get to tear other people's kids up based on them not being raised the way that you were. You a unicorn, brother. Accept that. Be cool with it. And you don't have to agree with it. You don't even have to like it, but you gotta respect it because it's not gonna change just because Travis don't agree.
No. And I get it. And Tanya was saying something about when she had her knee surgery, and I get that. That's probably
You're talking to the lady who can't see. I never wore glasses before I had this whole incident with my eyeball. I don't drive no more. I go out every night of the week to find me some live music. I don't do that shit. I don't deal with the same people that I once dealt with. COVID happened. I live by myself. So I'm in here talking to the blender. All I'm trying to say is depression is a real thing. And you've got to make a choice one way or the other. Are you going to stay in it or are you going to let it beat you? What you going to do? I choose to fight. I'm a boxer.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
I'm not a social media person. You and I are close to the same page.
That's what I like. What you just said. You said I'm a fighter, right?
Absolutely, but I'm of a different age.
So all them people behind us, they ain't fighters. And if you ain't got no fight in you, you gonna fail.
But people don't teach them to fight the same way because we're not raised the same, Travis. We learn how to do math with a pen and paper. And if you was cool and y'all had a couple of dollars, you might have got a TI-83 calculator to learn how to do this shit when you were in high school, right? There were no cheap websites. They didn't exist. You didn't have to use your brain.
Can I
go ahead, Tony.
Okay, I'm gonna try to shift gears here for a minute and talk about how when we do have people that have mental health issues, there's really no right type of resources for when somebody's having an episode. And when we have people that call 911, when you have a person that's having a mental health episode, it's so bad and it turns the wrong direction, and it's something that needs to be addressed because police aren't trained to de-escalate situations. You know, they come in with the mindset of this is a threat, not that this person has a mental health illness.
Well, and they accept that it's a mental health issue if they don't look like us.
Well, I didn't want to go there with it, but
I do. I'm being very honest here. They are not trained to deal with Black people with mental issues the way that they see white people. Oh, they may just be having a bad day. Black people aren't allowed to have a bad day when it comes to the cops. They usually end up in a casket. Let's be real about that. But the best thing in the world that I have ever done for myself was get a therapist. I look forward to talking to her. Why? It makes me a much better person.
And I'm glad
you said that too.
That we can go to, but I just want everybody to understand that if you have a family member or somebody that you know with a mental illness, we need to try our best not to call 911 in that situation, because so many times when it comes to people, right, you know, just like Tootie said, people like us, you know, they come in, they look at us as a threat, and they kill these people that are going through a mental health episode, maybe schizophrenia, maybe depression, maybe whatever the case may be. You know, it's a big issue right now. You know what I mean? There's a new number I guess they have now, not 911. I forgot. I think is it 811? I believe.
Down here it's 811. In Texas, it's 811.
Yeah, it's 811. But even with that, it needs to be addressed, and they're trying to work on it, but they're not doing enough work on it to be able to bring a person out that can deal with somebody with a mental health issue, along with some type of protection. You know, some type of law enforcement. That the law enforcement is going to play the backstage, and the mental health expert is going to come in there with that mentality to try to talk to this person and try to de-escalate the situation. Because like I say, law enforcement, they don't de-escalate. They just go in there with the mindset of we got to neutralize the threat. They feel like everything is a threat.
And that happened down here, like
Oh, it's
probably
happening.
in the middle of the summer. So probably like a mile from my house, there is a field house, and they have children's summer camps there. So it's just like a big, I guess arena, whatever you want to call it, but they just have children's summer camp. They're sports camps.
Yeah.
And this guy, black guy, goes up there. Why? I don't know. With a assault rifle. And they shot him and killed him right there in front of the place. So they shut all this stuff down for the whole rest of the summer. But the thing about it was the guy had mental issues. You know what my issue is with that? If you know that this person has mental issues, I think there should be a registry. It may not sound right, but there should be a registry with these people's names on it and their diagnosis. So that if you call 811 and say, hey, this person I'm having an issue with, somebody that this person is familiar with can come to the scene with the police and try to de-escalate the thing. That guy, according to them, I don't believe that he was there to shoot anybody. I think he thought in his head he was a security guard of some sort. See how crazy that sounds? But this guy ended up dying. He shouldn't have went in there with an assault rifle. I completely agree. And this is right after this whole Uvalde shooting where this kid goes in there and killed 21 people, 2 teachers and 19 kindergartners.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, but guess what? They walked him out of there. He didn't catch bullets. And that's what I'm saying. So when they don't look like me, the laws are a whole lot more lenient on their survival.
And not to get too touchy, but when we talk about Uvalde, what we call that a mental health issue when somebody goes there and just shoots up people? What does the panel think about that?
I honestly feel like I don't think it was a mental health issue. I feel like he had made his mind up that he was gonna be make the national news, and that's what he did. Honestly, that's my personal opinion.
Listen, I can't judge, whether yay or nay on that. All I can say is that, when someone feels that they're not themselves, what they need to do, actually, first and foremost, they need to take ownership that, hey, yeah, I'm having a problem. Secondly, talk to a family or family friend, someone that won't judge you. Thirdly, speak to your primary physician to try to get help from there. Also, too, I took up some information for us here that we can call the betterhelp.com, which is open 24/7. We have the hotline 1-800-273-HELP. That is the helpline. We have another one, www.samhsa.gov helpline. So
Right.
those folks that's out there that's suffering and don't know what mental depression look like, don't know what it feels like, there are some numbers that you can call to get the help that you need.
That's right. And truth be told, I'm a internet person. So if you Google in your city, just Google different types of places and look at their reviews and go from there. But there is help out there in every city. Now, the question I want to ask you guys, do you think depression should be treated with medicines and psychotherapy or self-healing?
No, again, Nicole, it depends on the stage of depression that you're in. They have so much medication, they have psychotherapy, they have cognitive therapy, they have analytics medication, depression medication. It's so much medication that's out there. But here's the thing with the medication is that if sometimes you can take medication and you become so complacent with that medication in your body that it wears completely out and it doesn't work anymore. So now you're even going to a higher dosage. Again, and I'm not saying that that every treatment is validated for someone else. I'm just saying what worked for me was prayer and therapy, talking to someone, and meditation. That worked for me.
Right. What were you gonna go ahead, Travis?
So you want to give someone medication that is already dealing with something that they say has them not feeling right. So you want to medicate that person is that's the answer.
Well,
I'm just
sometimes people have an imbalance and you can't just turn it off. So sometimes you actually need medication for the clinical depression. It's an imbalance in your brain. So you can't just self-heal that way when you have that imbalance. I know some people that have that. But if it's the beginning stages of depression and you're just super sad, or like you suffered a tragic loss, you suffered some type of pain somewhere, relationship, you know, that's the beginning stages of depression. And you can
when you
self
say relationship, what do you mean relationship? Like
It's like you a divorce, or you break up with your girlfriend or boyfriend, whatever.
Yeah.
Or you lose a friend that nobody died, but you just can't be friends no more. Like that considered depression.
Right.
so I'm just curious. As a man, because your friend won't talk to you, you should go take some medicine. That sounds ridiculous.
So
Well,
okay,
wait.
that's
I
no,
mean,
it is
come on.
Travis.
Like,
So I guess you still got all the same friends you had since kindergarten.
Hell no, but I ain't finna get
All
mad
I'm
if I
saying
take no
is,
pills. You think I'm gonna drink a bottle of bleach because my
Travis,
friend don't talk to
okay,
me no more?
so let's explore this, right?
Come
So
on.
okay, we're finna do it. So let's say your longtime dog died. Your best friend stole half the money out of y'all's business account because he decided he don't want to be in business with you anymore. He not taking your phone calls. Let's say your car breaks down, your lights get cut off, and your wife leaves.
And
So you got all of this happens in a matter of a week.
Can I answer all that?
Let me finish.
Oh, come on.
You handle all of that comes and hits you in the week. And just when you start to feel like you might be making peace with losing what you've lost and trying to reestablish yourself as to what it is, you get hit with another brick, and let's say you lose a sibling. Right?
Okay.
That's a lot to carry.
I'm gonna go down the line.
What I'm saying is that's a lot to carry.
Okay, so the first thing you said, a dog, right?
Mhm.
Fuck a dog here shit in the den. So let's go on to the next thing.
Travis,
I'm being 100 with you.
No, listen,
what I'm
Travis.
saying.
No, I'm trying to be honest. She went down the line. If a man, as a man, I want my friends to stay around. I'm gonna respect them. I'm gonna be a good friend to you.
Well, we didn't say you were a bad friend. That don't mean
But if he
your friend
leave,
is
do
not a
you
good
think
friend to you.
If he leave, men ain't like that. If he leave, I'm not finna cry about it.
But you don't.
But he stole half your money, Travis.
Then I'm gonna go take an iron pipe and get my money back.
Hold on, hold on. I think we're losing the concept here. Travis, you are you sound like you're mentally dumb, okay? Because
No. I'm not a woman. No. Tanya, I'm not a woman. I don't think like a woman. Y'all get mad at each other.
Male or female thing.
No. I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that, Tanya.
It's not a male or female thing.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. We don't think like y'all.
Men are okay. Wait, because men get depressed and then they hide their depression and they wear masks behind it. Women,
And you find them dead somewhere, don't you?
That's a woman answer. No, we ain't got time to be depressed. Go take care of your goddamn family.
Look, it's not
Travis.
Travis, sit your ass down. I'm about to.
No, I'm not gonna sit my ass down. We don't think like y'all.
We didn't say you did think like us, but the
So
thing
you
about
talk
a
about
woman being
goddamn my
depressed is
friends.
what?
Man, I don't care nothing about that.
Not everybody thinks like
but
you.
this is what we're trying to get you to
They
see.
should.
The
Men
difference
should.
between men and women and depression. If a woman is depressed, she's emotional. She cries a lot. Her depression is noticeable. Men typically hide theirs, and then you find their ass dead somewhere. That's what we're trying to get you to see. It ain't we begging you to cry. We begging you to hold hands or something. What we're trying to say is acknowledge that there is a difference between how women react and how men react. But you talking about you. As far as I'm concerned, you a unicorn in a box by your damn self because you don't function like average people.
Let me ask you a question, Trav. Let me ask you a question. Now, I'm asking this from a position of personal experience, right?
Right.
Last year, I had two male friends who lost their sons, and naturally, it's a tough situation.
That's real.
They going through what they're going through, right? What would you do if they felt like they were going through a depression, or if you seen they was going through a depression? Do you feel like they don't need to be going through that depression?
No.
Like, how would you approach that situation if two of your good friends lost a child, which is the
Yeah.
most unnatural thing that you can do is bury your child. How would you address that person? How would you try to speak to that friend?
I'm
Bounce
glad you
back
said
and
that.
bounce back and take care of your family because you a man.
No. Death is real. That's something real. A parent, a child. I get that. I get that.
Real.
Internet bullying ain't real. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
I'm not finna cater to a man getting an email from somebody saying I don't like
But,
you.
but, but,
That's
but
not.
back to what I was back
But
back
what
back
you
to what I
saying,
asked.
T,
Back to what I asked. If you have
I'm
a
gonna handle
friend,
as your partner, I'm gonna handle that with gloves. I'm gonna be respectful. I'm not gonna whatever you need me to do, and I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna close my mouth and I'm gonna listen to what you got to say, because that's a whole different ball game. That's
but
real.
how would you speak to them if you so you know that they're in this place of depression and they say they depressed because they missed their child? Like what would your words to try to get them to kind of understand or come out of that place of depression? How would you approach that?
The only way you can approach that is with love and respect, man. That you love your partner, and you can't be overbearing. You can't point them in the direction of what they should be doing. You just got to be a confident hand. I'm with that. I understand that. I'm not oblivious to understanding that. That
Mhm.
other stuff, I can't. I don't understand.
Mhm.
Okay, let me say something. I think we talked about the difference between depression and mental illness. So everybody that's out here watching, you can clearly see the difference. Travis 757-260 clearly have a mental illness, okay?
I know.
Because what
You
he's
want me to
trying
believe
to
that.
do is
Well,
what
I'm glad you said that.
everybody in his
I'm
box
glad you said that.
thinking
Now I
his
got something
brain.
for that.
That is
When you
strictly mental illness.
now watch this.
That's
When you
mental
say
illness. And
listen, when you
hey,
said
he's
your
in style.
when
He's
you
in
said
style.
your
You
leg
in
was hurt,
style.
watch this.
Y'all. Hold on.
No. I'm gonna say this. When you said your leg was hurt and you were depressed, if you would have had a man, you wouldn't have worried about your leg. He would have took you outside in the sunlight and you'd have got some vitamin D. And then you would have got some more vitamin D later on that night, and you'd have been all right.
Mental illness is real.
Oh my goodness. Okay, y'all. So self-healing
Yes.
for people that are just beginning depression. What are some forms of self-healing that you would say?
As I mentioned earlier before, meditation, talking to a friend or a family, being honest with yourself, saying that, hey, there is an issue that's going on with me. Prayer. Also, too, a lot of people don't talk about that, but there's also holistic treatments that's out there for those that don't want to take the synthetic drugs.
Right. I would say exercise.
Weed, exercise and weed.
Read. Okay. Go ahead, Tootie.
Oh, for
weed,
me, anything that allows me to be creative are the things that I thrive in. So for me, it would be journaling, writing, acting. I picked up the guitar when I was struggling. So it's like cooking, of course, because I'm a chef, but by trade. But anything that allows me to be creative, those are the things that I function better in. So when I'm feeling in however I'm feeling in whatever bad space I may be in, when I create something, I usually feel better because I'm a grown woman with a whole bunch of coloring books.
Right. That
works for me.
A relaxation hobby. That's in the top 5. Lanita, what would you say?
What do I do to help me get out of a funk?
Yeah, self-healing.
I mean, that's how I call it. So I listen to music, uplifting music, whether if it's gospel, if it's R&B, just something feel good. I also garden. I started going to like paint shops or craft shops, either by myself or with kids. Sometimes it has wine in it, sometimes it doesn't. But just something that really helps me kind of navigate, okay, I'm going through a tough time, but this is what makes me happy. So then I write down different things that I want to try that I haven't had a chance to. If I'm going through something, I'm like, oh, look, they have another workshop. I'm gonna sign myself up. But the hardest thing to do when you're going through something is to push yourself into that position to sign yourself up to go and
Yeah.
follow through with it.
Yep.
Because a lot of times when you're stuck in this rut and you're depressed or you have anxiety, you want to do these things, but you can't get yourself there to get it done.
Right.
That follow through is what you're missing. Like, you know, you want to be happy, you know, you just want to be at this place, but getting to that place is the tough part.
Right.
So, but that's what I do.
Okay.
That's what I try to do.
Tony, what would you say? Self-healing.
I'm gonna come from it from two different angles. I'm gonna come at it from the angle of being on the outside looking in. As I said before, I had two friends who lost children, and being there for them, during that whole process, everything from the funeral to even the aftermath of everything. I just said, for me, I told them I was going to be available to them. Like, if they ever need to call and talk or whatever, they need to vent, they need to cry, they need to do whatever they need to do, because that's unfamiliar territory for anybody. Like I said, that's the most unnatural thing you can do, is bury a child. You know what I mean? Now, from the other end, if you are a person that's going through it, the things that make you happy, the people that you can be around that make you happy. Going to the gym, they say when you go to the gym and you work out, certain endorphins, are released in your body and your mind. It helps you feel more, feel like in a better place. You know what I mean? But everybody has something, the meditating, the reading a book, reading a Bible. Like I said, this might not sound good, but it is what it is. Maybe even having a drink. You know what I mean?
That's what you don't want to do.
No, I'm saying if that's what having a drink, if it helps you get into a different place of being so sad that you feel like, okay, I'm gonna feel it, do what you got to do. I know we don't want to,
Having
Shut down drinking, but it's somebody's therapy.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if a person drinks a glass of wine or a shot of something and it kind of helps mellow out the way they're feeling the anxiety right now or that panic, do it.
That's
what I mean? So,
that's a cover up. That's like a sugar coat for it.
Everything is
I mean, but at the same time, people take Xanaxes or other things just to calm themselves down.
Everything you're doing is a cover up. Nothing is going to actually be something that has you feeling 100% better. It's helping you to process that situation.
Okay.
It's coping mechanism.
You gotta look at it like that, yeah.
So some things that I've read and researched. Exercise is number one, because it gives you the feel good endorphins. Eat healthier, challenge your negative thoughts, avoid alcohol and drugs, find a relaxation hobby, try to get enough sleep, and try something new. So you guys touched on almost all of those, except Tony had to throw in a little bit of alcohol. But I get that.
Or smoke a blunt. Shoot, I'm sorry.
Hey,
if it's gonna get you in a more of a mellow place, then do what you got to do. I'm sorry.
Smoke that's plants. That's not a drug.
Well, God put this here for us. Take advantage anyway. But yeah.
So,
but yeah,
let me go back.
But you got to think everything that you said, everything that they're the top five, all those is just it's just something there for the time being, because it doesn't last forever.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So it doesn't really matter. You're just going to have those times where you need something to kind of balance you out from going this, you're going this way. You're feeling low. You need something to kind of balance you back out again.
And be clear, we're talking about the people that are just beginning depression. This isn't clinical depression or the other types. This is just the beginning stages. And just know some of it is genetic. But go ahead, Tony. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was just saying, like I said, I think everything that you do, it's kind of like a Band-Aid for the time being. But at the end of the day, there's nothing that's going to permanently get you where you need to be. That's a long-term thing, right?
Right.
Eventually, hopefully you can get to that place where you're not in that dark place anymore. But everything that you're going to do is just going to be a temporary Band-Aid. Like I said, whether it be working out, whether it be eating better, whether it be, drinking, smoking something, taking some kind of whatever, it's all a temporary thing for the time being, right?
Yeah, but it's consistent care that makes it better.
That's what I said. It's something in the long run.
But it's always going to change. Like you always have to be willing to level up. Like So because I have a friend who he has like 4 or 5 mental illness diagnoses, like schizophrenia, bipolar, blah, 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 all of these other kind of things. And he was taking oodles and oodles of medicines, but at some point they began to counteract each other and all of it stops working. So the thing that I hate for him is the fact that he's always having to get adjusted to new medicines and see what happens, hoping that maybe one night he'll sleep all the way through or something like that. Because it's like the small things that we take for granted are the things that he's begging for, like a good night's sleep.
Like you were saying, I have the biggest issue when it comes to doctors prescribing medication for people. I have that's a whole nother topic and we can talk about that later. But go ahead, Trav.
2 questions. And you said at the beginning of somebody being depressed, 2 questions. You said this is things they can do, exercise, music, be creative. I'm cool with all that. My question is, what is the reason you're depressed? That's my next question. Then Tootie said something about going to therapy. And my question with therapy to her was, you say you feel like you're a better person when you go to therapy. That's cool. Does therapy have a graduation date or do you just keep going?
So I see a female therapist. So let me just go and get in there. I went through a rape. I had a hard time.
That's real. That's real.
I went to the doctor. He took me to the doctor. They gave me back injections. They put me to sleep. He took my clothes off and raped me when he got to my house. Somebody that I thought was my friend.
Oh, that's tough.
I go to therapy because I ain't killed his ass. Let's be real with it. So now I choose therapy because I was going to all of these different places and they kept sending me to all of these people that didn't look like me. It was a guy. Yeah. I always felt like he was judging me. Was a woman. She couldn't identify with what I was going through. The minute they found me some women that looked like me, my whole world got better because it's really hard when you can't talk to your family about it because they're like, oh, well, you just need to make better decisions. I didn't think I made a bad. I think that was somebody who took advantage of a situation. Right. Right. And I don't need y'all judging me when I'm already on the struggle bus. I'm already having a hard time.
You know what?
So I could go to therapy and I've had, and it's not, and I choose this. Let me state that first off. So they give you X amount of sessions when you go. And they're like, well, hey, do you want to continue to go? So the first therapist that I had, I might have got like 10 sessions and then they gave me a life coach after her. Well, I finished with all of the projects that I was given because they give you tasks to do. So it ain't like you just on the phone talking, boo-hooing and crying. It doesn't work that way. They help you get your life back on track and try to help you reach the goals that you're chasing, right? So between the therapists that I've had, I have grown further than I planned on going. Anyway, like all of the things that I wanted to do, I knocked them out, no questions asked. The things that I'm doing now is stuff that's just happened to fall in my lap because I didn't stop when I finished. So therapy, it doesn't have a graduation date. Therapy is over when you decide you don't want to go no more. But they start listening to your sessions, the better they think you are. You raising your hand, go for it.
No. Let me say first and foremost, that's one of the crimes I don't understand at all, rape. And what Tony said about losing a child. So I'm 100% sympathetic to anything like that. Like I got my ways, but something on that level that's real. And you know, my heart go out to you. And just off top, I apologize. Just off that part. You know what I'm saying? Because you gave me information that makes me back up. I get that. That's real.
And
I
you know,
guess my go ahead.
Not to cut you off, the crazy thing is people used to think that if you go to a therapist that something's wrong with you. No. Nowadays it's normal. Nowadays it's like I need to go to my therapist to go.
You do, because you don't need to feel judged. You need somebody who's going to listen to you and somebody who offers you a resolution. So you came to them with the problem, but you need somebody to help you get to the bottom of that problem so you can move on to whatever the next one is going to be. That's what therapy has done for me. So it's no, I'm not crazy. Absolutely. I just know the people that I would talk to on a regular basis are not going to offer me a resolution to get out of this space. And they are probably going to have their opinions about whatever it is that I tell them. And I don't need any of that from any of them, especially my thing is, nobody cares what you think till you ask them for something, right? Be it time, money, or service.
Right.
So I don't get to waste your time telling you whatever my issue is and get mad about you giving me whatever you think your remedy is because it doesn't align with what I'm working on. So if you go to a therapist, they pretty much make you tell them what you want and they just show you how to get there.
Right. Go ahead.
That's big. That's big. You know what I'm saying? I guess, y'all, my angle is, if, and I'll say it again, if you really have an issue, I understand. If somebody's done something to you, and cool. But if you are saying I'm depressed just to be saying I'm depressed, that's confusing to me. And,
Yeah.
and you give me something to go off of. I'm just saying in general, because there's a reason that you're depressed.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? There's something, unless you have a, like you said, a chemical imbalance. But if you're just saying I'm depressed to be depressed, say what it is. Get the help. But if you
But
ain't
if
got
they
no,
don't know why, it could be a chemical imbalance,
Right.
Trav.
So, like postpartum depression, right?
Mhm.
I'm not sure if you guys had talked about this, but postpartum depression, that's a hard thing to really deal with. Sometimes a woman doesn't know if she has postpartum depression, but her body has went through a huge change, and now she has a hormonal imbalance and a chemical imbalance, and then she's trying to balance, the newness of her life, and that brings stress, anxiety, and depression.
Mhm.
So that person needs guidance to get through that time in their life, whether if it's going to take them 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, or however long. But even with that, it's hard to say like, okay, well, this person went through something. Well, they went through something. It's supposed to be the happiest time of their life, but they're the saddest they've ever been.
Right.
It's the complete
Don't know
opposite.
why.
Right. And doesn't know why.
And that is the hardest issue, is to identify the problem or identify why you feel the way you do.
Yep.
and with that, I gotta be sympathetic as well, because I don't have a Muna, so I don't understand. I mean, I can't say nothing about you having a baby and you being depressed. You gave me some reasoning. It's just gotta make sense or have some logic.
So your whole thing is you can accept depression as long as it has a source or a reason. But if you feel like they just being dramatic, that's when you don't respect.
Then I'm not gonna give it 2 cents.
Mhm.
Okay.
How do you identify the two?
Repeat that.
I was asking Travis, how does he identify between the two? How do you know?
No, I'm saying she just said postpartum depression. That's real.
Okay.
I can eat that. Tanya said she went through a knee surgery and she was in the house. I can eat that.
Okay.
You can tell me something happened. I can eat that. But if you sitting there and you have family and people that are looking out and you're going through it and you're just saying, I'm just depressed. I'm just depressed, and you look out the window, I'm going to ask you why. And if you, as a therapist, the therapist said, why? Why are you this depressed? Or what's the problem?
So if someone was feeling depressed, one of your homeboys or homegirls, and they were feeling depressed and they just start crying, you're like, what's wrong? Why are you crying? And they say, I don't know. I'm just feeling this way. I don't know what's wrong.
A grown man?
No, let's say a woman or a homeboy.
A grown man.
A grown man or a grown woman that you've known for a long time that acts out of character, and they start crying to you because they don't know what is wrong and they're feeling some type of way. How would you handle that? What would you tell them? This is out of character. It's out of character for them.
It's out of character. If it was a woman, I'm gonna sit there and because I know, boom, I'm gonna hear that.
Mhm.
If you my dude and you just start crying and you ain't bleeding or leaking from a gunshot wound or ain't nobody took nothing from you, I'm gonna be confused like what's going on. You may need to get some mental help because that ain't normal. And I'll say this too, for the men that I deal with, that's not normal behavior.
Would you show
But
them
it's concerning.
what would you say? Would you be concerned?
What's wrong with you, bro?
I don't know. I can't identify, man. Something's wrong. I just don't feel right. And he's crying.
Well, I might have to take you to Millersville. That's the funny farm down here.
So they
Let me
gotta go
say-
to the
let me-
funny farm
hold on.
instead of you just letting them.
You know what? Discussing this with Travis, clearly he does not understand. everybody that goes through depression has a story. He can't see the story. So my thing is, why keep asking him questions that he's going to rebuttal against? He always has an answer for something that don't make sense.
I mean, in your opinion, it don't make sense, but let me
It
say
doesn't.
this.
I
Let me
can
say,
sit
let
with
me,
you
let,
all
let
day
me say
long,
this.
Travis,
Let
and talk
me
about
say
this,
this.
but it's not
Let me-
getting
let-
to you.
and you, because you can't penetrate me with weak thoughts. You can't
See?
penetrate me with weak thoughts. I'm not that type of man. You can't give me no weak thoughts and make me think like a woman. It ain't gonna ever work.
Travis, nobody's trying to make you think like a woman. What
Tootie,
we're
Tootie,
trying
you
to
say-
get
Tootie,
you to
Tootie,
understand.
Tootie, you've been giving me real good stuff, and I understand where you're coming from. This is for Tanya. This ain't got nothing to do with you. It's for her.
Hold on, brother. We're
War
talking
of the
about mental
roses.
illness. So you don't have anything for me. Right
No,
now,
I got
what
plenty
I'm
for
saying-
you.
right
You
now,
can't
what I'm
penetrate
saying-
me with weak
right
thoughts.
now, I'm saying
I ain't
the
got no
audience can
breath.
see the
I ain't got no
difference
titties.
between-
You can't get at to me. I ain't got no titties. You can't get at to me.
Okay.
Let me say this again. Let me
Trey.
say this again. Let me say this again. First and foremost, as everybody's listening and looking at this podcast, clearly, you should be able to see the difference between depression and mental illness, because 757260 just truly showed us what mental illness is.
You
However,
can't make
if
me
you're
think like no
having
woman. I ain't got no titties.
please,
Lord.
go to berryhelp.com. They're open 24/7. SAMS, www.samshsa.gov, or call 1-800-273-TALK.
That's right. Y'all, real talk. If someone is showing you signs of depression or any type of mental illness, like the things that you could do, show you care, offer them help, offer them hope, be there for them, and ask life-saving questions.
Yes.
Exactly. So I always, whenever I go through with whoever it is in a situation, I always find inspiring quotes. I always make them a playlist. I always say, hey, if you need me, you call. We can talk about it. You want to go walking? You want to go get a drink? You want to go get something to eat? Like whatever. I offer of myself for people that I know and love that are going through a whatever situation, because there's nothing like feeling like you have at least one person supporting you when you're in a real dark space. And I recognize that. Therefore, I become that person.
Mhm.
Especially if you're going through something and you're completely alone. A lot of times people are away from their support system and they don't have the help to help navigate them through a tough time in their life.
Right.
So, and it's when people are alone and they're secluded and they don't have that support system, it's even harder for people to reach out to people to ask for help, or just not even help, just to listen, to say, hey, this is what I'm going through. Have you ever experienced this? What do you think about this? So Tootie, I commend you for that. I salute you for that, because a lot of times people don't have what you're willing to give.
Right.
And I learned that, and that's why I make sure that I can be that person to people, because I'm telling you, when I was going through like the darkest of all of the dark stuff, I went to the police station and filed charges against the rapist. They take their time getting whatever you need done. And basically they called me 2 years later to tell me that they weren't going to file charges because they didn't have enough evidence, but they moved like tortoises. So you mean to tell me I'm doing everything that you asked me to do for you, is still just spit in my face and tell me I can't get shit out of this? So that's a slap in the face. Pissed me off, hurt my feelings, and I might have got pressed behind it too. So it was a whole lot happening with me physically. My blood pressure was out of control. I honestly think that's what happened with this eye, to be honest. Y'all want to be transparent about it. And it's not, and I did it. The person that I did the most of whatever I needed to do with passed away in the middle of everything. Like me going to the doctors, me going to the police, and me talking to the detectives and trying to get all of this shit done, and he died. Like that was my best friend, and he just come sit in my house and hold my hand, you know what I'm saying? And he passed away. And then to be going through all of that and then lose the one supporter that you had,
Right.
you're talking about a dark damn day.
Wow.
So that's why I'm like, nah, I mean, If you got it, you give it. If you don't want to give it, don't offer it. But if it's somebody that I love, I definitely stand up and jump in.
Absolutely.
I would say this too, and I said it earlier. The biggest sign is no sign. And with that being said, if you have friends that are just your everyday friends, even though everything like this, okay, every once in a while say, "You good? You all right?" Just ask them that.
Yes.
Just ask them that. That right there and alone might be the one thing that might make them say, because like I said, the biggest sign is no sign. People don't, a lot of these people that are really depressed, they don't say anything. You don't see any signs of it, nothing. So just being a friend, somebody that you be around every day. You okay? You good? How you doing?
That's everything. Well, if
Yeah.
just ask, are you okay?
Even if it seems like everything's all right, you know what I mean? If this person's around you on a regular basis, just, hey, how you doing?
Right.
You all right? Just that simple question, you know what I mean? And that's my advice I give.
I agree. Whew, this topic has me a little emotional.
Oh, don't do it, because I'm gonna have to help. I don't let people cry by themselves.
I'm not gonna. I'm
There's gonna be some booger blowing somebody's in here.
I'm gonna go get the bottle of Hennessy and make all y'all stop crying.
Exactly. But I will stop recording. We pray for all that are going through something. We are here. If you need an outlet, we got a new hotline, y'all. Call in 619-633-7755. It doesn't just have to be about topics. Just call and we can have someone from the panel contact you or myself, whichever. Subscribe to L.U.S.T. Let Us Speak Truth on YouTube. One love, and we are out of here, y'all. We appreciate ya.